the informal introduction to OotiniCast episode 262. Yep, that shocks me every time I read that kind of thing because it's a lot of episodes. Let me just tweet out that we're going. We'll start properly. We have a first-time guest, and that would be Christina, who you will hear all about when she'll talk to her. She has some interesting professional stuff to talk about, as well as the game, of course. And we've got Alex back. Alex, I forgot to mention, I listened to your latest episode of the Geek Podcast after 2 or 3 months or however long you'd been off. There was a real echo.
I thought so, yeah. I need to try and fix that. It's really odd, and it's been a while since I'm pretty sure someone's messed with my equipment here, because some of the settings look a little off, so I have to go back and check.
You want to do that very quickly? It sounds like it's just not on the one where it's actually just taking it straight from your face, as opposed to, it sounds like it's more omni. Which I'll probably remember the word for that, but I'm getting old and stuff, so...
that mic's just for show.
No, I thought... Yeah.
He really uses a pinhole mic from 10 feet away.
Hello, everyone, by the way, in the chat room. Some familiar faces, and Christina is... How do you pronounce that? Drea Kieran?
Yeah, you got it. Drea Kieran.
Drea Kieran. Okay, I'll have to remember that.
And Decion, one of the officers from our Utini guilds. Yeah, alright. How are you going there, Alex? You're just going to wing it?
I'm going to just check if this works.
Alright. If it doesn't, you guys come back in. Christina, you have started recording?
Test.
Yes.
Alright, just, let it run.
Yeah.
I'm testing now.
I particularly want to hear about you reading, doing those audio books too. Could you mention that?
Oh my
The whole
gosh.
process of it. Yeah, no, that's really cool. And Chill, are you recording?
Test.
I am recording.
We're just waiting for Alex to...
Yeah, does it sound different at all?
You sound quieter.
You sound quieter, yeah.
How's that? Is that louder?
Oh, that's better.
A little bit.
There we go.
Alright. That'll
Pretty
probably
sure
be
that
okay. Now I've got to
be alright.
make sure I actually record this time. I've only forgotten the once. I do have the OBS recording.
Wow.
Oh, that's funny. Alright. I think we're ready. And Alex, are you recording?
Yes,
The correct
I am
device.
recording. I'm pretty sure it is recording the correct device.
Right, can you boost your gain just a little bit for the fun? Oh, are you in studio mode, by the way?
I am now.
Alright.
Yeah.
Yeah, boost your mic a little
Christina, have you put yours in studio mode?
bit. Did we mention that somewhere?
No
Okay.
idea.
Okay, so in your Hangout, if you move your mouse at the top of the screen, so a little bar with the icons show up. Under Settings, the gear icon, there is a pull-down that should show Voice.
Yes.
If you click on that, could you change it?
Studio.
Studio, yes.
Yeah.
A little known
Hello.
and very useful
Little
setting.
known. Yes, it keeps the Hangout from taking over your mic settings and
Yeah.
screwing up your volume.
It'll actually move the volume up and down, which is really painful since we're recording.
Okay.
So
And now
all you have to do is put in
studio.
studio and you are good. So, alright. Everyone is recording?
Yes.
Yep, okay. Then let's do this, John.
All right. Hang on a sec. Okay, going in 5. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast, the podcast that, if any of its circuits or gears will help, will gladly donate them. This is episode 262, being recorded on a Wednesday, May 25th, 2016. I'm your host, Chill, with our producer and co-host, Tio. Hi, Tio.
Hey guys.
And we've got 2 guests today. First of all, we do have Alex from the Geek Podcast. Hey, Alex.
Hello.
Yeah, and we also have a brand new guest, and this is Christina. And Christina, Gosh, well, we almost met at the New York SWTOR Cantina, didn't we?
We did.
And people might know you if they watched that when it was streaming, because you did a cosplay for it.
I did.
Go ahead and tell us a little bit about that to help everyone remember.
I did. I cosplayed my own character at the Cantina tour in New York. I read about the contest, and then I worked on it for like 4 weeks to put it together, and then
Wow.
I showed up
That's
as
awesome.
myself. And when I made it, I wasn't entirely sure if that's what they wanted, but they said a character that existed in the... Oh, Vaz in the chat. A character that existed in SWTOR, and I'm like, well, I pay $14.99 a month to exist in SWTOR as Mal, so I'm gonna cosplay as Mal. And if you don't like it, I don't care. So.
Yeah, it was fun. And you were the dual-wielding, like, Sith, right?
No.
Is that right? Which one were you then?
I was.
Oh, chill.
Oh,
Okay,
I thought I remember.
I was the only girl there. Number
Yeah, I
one.
know, but I thought you were dual wielding.
No.
Never mind.
No, I just had one. I was wearing
okay.
a Darth Scion outfit from the Cartel Market.
Okay. Cool. All right. And what do you do in SWTOR?
Mostly, I play a Sage healer, but I also
Cool.
DPS Gunnery Commando, and I DPS on my Sage. I can heal on a Scoundrel. I tank on a Assassin and Shadow. I have one of everything. The only one I really don't play that much is my Gunslinger, but
Right.
Do you PvP, or is it mainly PvE stuff, operations,
oh my
flashpoints?
god, it's I don't really PvP that much, and then the other day I was that person in my PvE gear, and I went with my guild, and they were like, look, you out-healed everybody in your PvE gear. So
Oh, wow.
I said to myself, well, it's been, gosh, I don't know, since beta I've played this game. And I bought my first set of PvP gear
Oh, wow.
last
Hey.
week.
Congratulations. Welcome.
Nice.
Last week.
And what kind of PvP do you like to do? Do you like the arenas, or have you done any ranked yet?
Oh god, I would not do that.
Not yet.
Not probably
Give her a
not
chance.
ever.
Didn't know if she was
It just
jumping
started
in with
last
both
week.
feet.
My PvP achieves are like 10% of all of my achieves in SWTOR.
That's awesome.
So I'm not going to be that person in ranked where everybody's like, you should just log off and uninstall your game. Don't do it.
Do you have an opinion on the Knights of the Fallen Empire, as in the change in direction of the game to episodic storytelling?
I like it. It's sort of hard, I think, to wait a month and then you get to play a chapter for 45 minutes and then go, oh, okay. Sometimes the Knights of the Fallen Empire at this point is kind of, it was a slog, because when the Eternal Championship came out, I was like, oh, I want to do the one where you do it on all the classes.
Right.
Oh, I have to go through
A lot of
Oh, God.
characters,
all
yeah.
of it on all 8 classes. Oh, balls. But I like, I think after chapter 10, those subsequent chapters, I like those so far. And I read something with Charles Boyd, I think, saying that they were trying to rate them more almost like episodic television,
Yeah.
where there's more like something's happening over here with the Outlander, but meanwhile someone and someone, no spoilers, someone and someone are on, this mission, and we don't know what happened to them until later in this next chapter. So I think I'm enjoying 10 plus more than 1 to 10.
Right. We'll see where they go with the conclusion. So we've only got the 3 chapters left, 2 in June
see.
and 1 later. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I was personally just glad that our latest subscriber reward was not HK's.
HK.
HK's long lost brother. We've got a skin of him. Wouldn't you all like to look like? The best was the ship droid customization.
Well,
Make
yeah.
your ship droid look like HK. If I wanted a droid to look like HK, I'd take out HK. I wouldn't reskin the other droids.
I don't know. Taking his head and turning it into a helmet was kind of gross and weird, and very much jumped the shark. But yes, the ship droid. Anyway, at least this time it's not HK themed. That's excellent.
Right. Now, Christina, you also do voice acting, voiceover work.
I do.
And what kind of VO work have you done?
I freelance right now. I'm looking for an agent. So right now, most of what I do is non-union freelance work that I can pick up out there on the internet. And some of it off a website called ACX, which is through Amazon. That's where I did 2 audiobooks. It's hard.
Oh, cool.
It's really hard to be non-union and work out of a studio because people expect you to do everything. They want you to record, you're in character, and then they want you to be the audio engineer also and edit and add effects and, de-breath, de-click, de-pop, all of it.
Right. Did they pay you for that? As in, because you're doing all of that work?
They do, but it does not pay. It does not pay as well. Somebody said I was quiet. Reading here.
Yep. Keep going. Whoa.
Yeah,
That's way up.
see, yeah, because I've got direct monitor on my.
Yep.
I'm gonna turn that off.
So good.
Is it
It's gonna be
better?
fixed.
Is it still too quiet, Sith Kitty?
Delay is maybe 30 seconds before
Yeah.
she'll hear us.
Yeah.
But it does sound a little... Maybe I'm imagining it seems better.
Sounds better.
Anyway.
Okay, my bad. What was I saying?
The amount of money that you were paid for doing non-union work, and because you have to do...
Yeah, it is nowhere near. Like, they expect a lot and pay so much less than union work.
Right.
It's like, it's such a two-edged sword
Right.
because when you try to get an agent, they're, oh, what have you done? Well, nothing? Oh, okay. Bye.
Yeah,
So
right.
it's hard. So, you
Right.
wind up doing things that are not ideal. And I try really hard to, even though I'm non-union, to pick jobs with integrity from employers who have integrity and
Sure.
respect for, voiceover artists, because I respect the industry so much, and, so many people have worked so hard. I don't want to be that scrub.
Well, that
So
would explain...
what is the
I was
problem
gonna
with
say-
getting into the union? Or do you need an
you-
agent before you can get into the union?
Well, you've got to be sent on union calls.
Oh.
There's just not a lot, because when agents, they have actors that are in the union, they have to send X, like the people that run the auditions, they either want to see all union or X amount of union people.
Right. Okay.
And most of the best work is done through agents.
Right.
Fair enough. Sorry,
So
Chuck.
it's step 1 is getting whatever work you can. Step 2 is getting the agent from that, and then step 3 is getting into the union because you have the agent.
I would say that step 1 is to learn how to be an actor.
Well, okay.
People
that's step
always
0,
ask that. They're like, I want to be a voice actor. Where should I start? I'm like, well, are you an actor? No. Well, I would start there first before I did
Yeah.
anything else. It's really beneficial. And then when I came to New York, I moved to New York from outside of DC, and I
Cool.
took 2 really good classes from people when I got here.
Specifically about VO work or just acting in general?
Yes. No, VO work. Like in-booth
Nice.
VO work with 2 people who are casting directors. If you
Oh,
ever, advice to anyone, if you want to take a VO class and it is not taught by a casting director, you are wasting your time. Because other actors, like, they can teach you tips and tricks, but they cannot help you work.
Right.
Ah,
Because part of it is forging
Getting-
those relationships.
yeah.
Right.
And making
Networking.
yourself known to people.
And so you've done a couple of books. So how long does it take to sort of do a book, to
That's a
get a
good
book
question.
read and so on?
The first one that I did was the first project that I had really ever done. And my training with Adobe Audition was like a 35-minute crash course with my friend who's an audio engineer and helped me set up my rig. So
cool.
I was trying to learn everything on the fly and record and be in character. And the way I did it, once I did the second one, I was like, oh man, the way I did the first one was not really efficient. But there were so many characters in the book, and I wanted to give each of them a different voice. So what I did was I recorded all of the narration, and I would just leave a space, like, he said, he looked at whatever, and blah, 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 blah.
And
then
go
I
back
went back
and
at the
add.
end for every chapter, and I ran all the character lines.
Oh,
Wow.
That would have
That would
been
take a long
challenging to
time.
edit. Yep.
Yeah, and
Or
so then what
glue
I
it
did
together.
was I cut it up in multi-track. Yeah, and I gave each character a different color, ran them on different lines, lined them up, and then mixed it back down again, and then exported
Dang.
it. So I
That's
know
awesome.
if only I was Billy West, because
Right.
know.
Because he can just instantly flip from one to another.
he does a podcast and he just talks to himself. It's amazing. He is completely amazing. And that was always the joke on Futurama. They would always say to him, and like, Billy, are you talking to yourself again? I think you're talking to yourself again. Because some of it would just be him back and forth, character to character. He's so talented.
Well, that's great that you're doing that, because the Star Wars audiobooks are amazing, and they do a really good job of having voice actors who do all the different roles with
So
different
that's full
voices.
cast, though, isn't it, rather than a single narrator?
No, it's single
It's
narrator.
one guy. Oh,
Yeah, it's like January LaVoy or one of the others, Mark
Yeah.
Thompson, and they're just and they do an amazing job. Plus, they do but they do in addition though is sound effects, music and sound effects underneath it.
Yeah.
Which
It's
is
all
what
really cool.
you had to do, wasn't it, Christina? For
I
those
did
audiobooks?
not.
Okay.
Well, the first book, it was actually really cool because the first book, the way it was a fantasy novel and the way it was broken up, it kind of had 4 different sections to the book. It was broken up in 4 different sections with chapters in each section. And my husband, actually, he's a musician, and he does a lot with GarageBand. And so even though he just really plays guitar, he can go in GarageBand and make like piano parts and
Right.
drum parts. And he actually wrote a score for my book for me.
That
So
is
it had
cool.
like
That's cool.
it had a theme. He just wanted me to describe the sections, and I was like, I really want it to sound like a Final Fantasy style game. And that's
That is
exactly
cool.
what he did. And so that was the only music it had, really. I just ran it over those 4 sections. No sound effects. But the character voices was enough. And like I said, I was like a fish out of water when I recorded that book. It was insane. It took forever. At some point,
I can
was
imagine,
sitting
yeah.
here doing
Right.
QA, and my sister's walking by, and I'm like, I'm so tired of listening to myself. I can't do it anymore.
The curse of the editor, yes.
Yeah.
For your own stuff.
Yeah.
Now,
Well-
just say you wanted to do voice acting for Star Wars The Old Republic. So have you done any game work yet? And I assume you'd be interested in doing some SWTOR stuff if it ever came up.
Oh my god, I would love to do SWTOR stuff. They're like some of the best. BioWare, their director, she doesn't direct for Star Wars The Old Republic, but Caroline Livingstone, what a dream to be able to work with her. Just she directed the Dragon Age and the Mass Effect games, and
Right.
talk about great voice work.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's great.
so-
And SWTOR has the most voice acting of any game ever. So
It does.
literally,
It's so much, and
it's in the
it's
Guinness Book
so
of World
good.
Records for it, and it's all good. Yeah, that too.
yeah, yeah. It's all good. It really makes the experience.
Absolutely. Well, that's great.
So, yeah, I would love to.
Was there anything else
Call me
about?
tomorrow. I'll roll down to the studio.
Was there anything else about the game that you wanted to talk about? Anything you've done recently or wanted to comment on?
What's this about color crystals? So, as we know, they removed the level requirements, so they're all plus 41 now, and
They did.
and that ruined your
Ruined
artifice
my
business.
Since launch, I made purple grade low-level color crystals,
Right.
and I sold them for 3 years, and I made millions of credits just selling those. That's all I made. That's all I sold.
Right.
And then they
'Cause
took
it was
the
such-
level.
It was a
like
niche that no one else was doing.
It was a niche,
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
Shadowlands. Yeah.
That's cool.
And periodically, like, people would throw some up, and I'm like, just let it ride. Usually
Right.
it was fine. But yeah, ruined my business. I had to stop selling color crystals.
Are you looking for another niche, or have you already found one?
Yeah, now I'm selling exotic isotope stabilizers and dark matter catalysts. People pay ridiculous prices for those. And those things from Conquest, strategic energy matrix.
Yep.
I just
Yeah.
sell all those too. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's great. Yeah, it's nice to have you on. Let's go to Alex. So, Alex, what have you been up to since we had you on last?
Well, it's been a little while, and I've basically been joining in the game less and less. I've been mostly, I don't know what to call it. I think a while ago I called it story logging, where I just log in for the story now.
Story logging.
It's like raid logging, but
It's like raid logging, yeah.
Yeah.
there's no raids to log into, really. No new raids, at least. But I've just been basically playing the story and anything else that comes out with those, like the companion missions or the Eternal Championship, which I did try. And I did enjoy until I got to round 5, and then my internet crashed. And it usually crashes for about 20 minutes at a time, and it takes 15 minutes for the Eternal Championship to reset. I got really mad because I had to start again, so looks like I won't be getting Bowdar anytime soon. It's really sad to me because I like him. I like Wookiees. What else have I done? Every time I log in, I kind of find myself walking around aimlessly, and just for the fun of it, I bought the VIP lounge wristband at the cantina at the Fleet and decided to go up and see what I could find up there. And I was incredibly disappointed to find out that it didn't give me access to the vendors. And that is the worst 1 million credits I've ever spent.
Oh, ouch. You could have just spent $5 and got the upgrade to the Digital Deluxe.
Well, that still doesn't give you access to all the
Yeah.
vendors, because there's the
There's
the special edition vendor up
collector's
there.
edition.
Yeah, collector's edition. Yeah.
But I kind of just sat there for a while and went, why did I buy that? And then I just kind of, that was when I went to do the Eternal Championship. Just because I was not really finding myself with anything to do. I was unsubscribed for a little bit. My subscription lapsed, and I don't know why, but it didn't just automatically pay as it usually did. So I was unsubscribed for a little bit, and I was really shocked when I logged into the game to see, you are now preferred status. And I was like, what? And I got really scared then, because I was like, oh no, what happened? What? Oh no, my stuff. Did I lose everything? All my credits. All the 10,000 credits I had. I don't have a lot of money. I'm really bad at money making. I think I've stated previously. It's really hard. I'm in the millions, like 2 million I think is the most I've ever had, or 3. I don't know. But I'm nothing.
So that 1 million is a real painful
that's
amount.
a third of all the money I've ever earned.
Oh, no.
And I spent it on a wristband.
Aw.
Well,
That-
you can now take the most interesting elevator ride in the game.
Yeah, it is. It is a fun elevator ride. There was this glitch back when I started playing, like this bug where if you get a long mount, say like the traditional speeder, you can put like the front of it on the tip of the elevator and it takes you up. You just can't get up there, and because you can't get in, but you're on the outside of the elevator,
Cool.
floating up, and it's really weird. But you can never get in because you're still on the outside and you just hit the wall basically, and then it
Right.
pushes you down
Or you
for
can
no
fall
gain.
off.
Oh yeah, that happened to me once.
Yeah, but just wait for the raffle event, and then you can just ride up to the VIP lounge and throw yourself off down onto everybody standing down by the by the cargo bay.
That is smart. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I'm very pleased to see that we're getting a non-HK themed reward next month, because ever since the jetpack, the jetpack was the best part for me because I didn't have a jetpack previously, and I just think it's pretty cool. It's my only mount with a mount flourish too, I think. So it's just kind of cool to have around. But
Yeah.
the head, what else? The weapons, which I did not like. I didn't like the weapons very much because they only had I think it was a sniper, a blaster, and a vibro sword, which are all weapons I don't use on my mains. I do main a Sith warrior on the Empire side, but I like lightsabers more than I like swords. So
Right.
I just trashed them all, and they weren't worth any money, I guess. So, I guess that makes sense. You could probably.
Well, they
They were.
at one point.
Oh, really? I didn't see that.
Yeah, there was some kind of there's always some kind of exploit when
Of
they.
course. Yeah, there always is.
They
Every
disqualified they disqualified a bunch of people from the Eternal Championship speed run. I
Oh,
saw.
really?
Yeah, using that exploit, the slash stuck one.
Oh, the one that removes the... Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
So out of SWTOR, I finally, after many, many months, brought my podcast back, which was fun to do, even though I've noticed, and it's been pointed out, that there are some editing mistakes in my quality of microphone. So I need to go back and see what I can do to fix that. Around 12 people, 11 of my friends, decided to do a 24-hour gaming marathon. We tried to do it just yesterday, actually, and we very much failed. We got 9 hours in until we found ourselves really, really bored, and we were playing many different games. I mean, we played Civilization, I think we played Minecraft, and then we played CSGO or something. I tried to get them to play SWTOR, but they didn't want to download the massive file, and some of them just aren't Star Wars fans, which is really weird for me, at least, because how can you be a Star Wars fan? I know, right? And
Downloading
so,
SWTOR, that would have taken 8 hours of your 24
yeah, that would have
marathon.
Yeah, we started at 4 and we went to sleep at 4 because 4 a.m. Because when we finished gaming, we just decided to watch really terrible movies like The Room and The Bee Movie, which I recommend you either see or never see because they're both very terrible. And yeah, they're very funny though, The Room especially. Otherwise, I've been looking for the new Star Wars canon book, Bloodlines. Is it Bloodline or Bloodlines?
Yes.
I can't remember.
It's Bloodline, yeah.
Yeah. By Claudia Gray. And she also wrote Lost Stars, which is my favorite Star Wars novel and the one I was raving about when I was on the show last October. Because I really enjoyed that novel and I want to see what she's done with the new one, but I just haven't found it yet. And it's probably super expensive knowing Singapore. Yeah, that's me for the past however long.
All right. Excellent. Tio, how about your week?
Well, I didn't really actually play that much. Unfortunately, work is getting a bit heavy at the moment. We've got a project deliverable which is coming up, big install, so that's going to take time. I did log in, do a couple of guild things, but really haven't really played much at all. I did want to talk about Chapter 13, Profit and Plunder, because when we actually had done it, that was our roleplay episode. I don't recall if we actually went into it in any detail. It's just reinforcing for me that the loss of agency, that is, the inability to actually just explore the world and follow a story, but taking you from place to place, but in an established world. Just think of the 1 to 50 experience, and actually all of it, where there are worlds, you go to the world, you do have a story to follow, often the planetary arc and your class story. These are just chains of things, places within the world, but there is a world to explore. Whereas now, they have introduced Zakul and Odessan, but only parts of them. You don't really have that much you can really get to. It's not like a world, it's like a few set pieces. And especially when you're going through the story, and we saw that in Profit and Plunder, it was just from here to here. You're not really traveling yourself, you're just carried. It's almost like a dream sequence. And especially when you press a play button and you're sort of transported straight into it. And then you wake up and everything's over. They could even write off the entire Knights of the Fallen Empire experience as a dream and just say, well, now you wake up and everything's back to the way it was at the end of the Shadow of Revan. I assume they won't do that, though narratively, if they've written themselves into a sufficient corner, maybe they'll have to, but don't know. I have been thinking a bit about, so now we're in a space where we have that special relationship that each of our classes had with their companions. Well, that's not there anymore, because now we've got a special relationship with all the companions, everyone's, plus a whole lot of random people. Like, apparently I've picked up those companions by doing all of the Star Fortresses.
Yes.
They get mentioned occasionally. I couldn't tell you who they are. They didn't make any impression. It's like this massive army of companions. So I suppose you are the big cheese of the Alliance, etc.
Yes.
Still, I sort of miss that kind of closer relationship that we actually had, as bizarre as it is. Oh well. So yes, I'm looking forward to seeing where they go. We only have the 3 chapters left in season 1. Sounds like season 2 is coming. But I'm hoping they do tweak things and do things a little bit differently going forward, such as going back to having worlds. Now, something Christina mentioned earlier was they were modelling it, something Charles Boyd said, they were modelling it more on TV, episodic TV, as in you actually have different scenes which are taking place at different locations, you're sort of cutting from place to place, as if you are watching TV. But the problem with that, of course, is we're not watching a passive video production, TV or movie or whatever. We are participating directly, and it doesn't really make sense for... I want to be interactive and truly have control of where I am in this Star Wars universe we're inhabiting, rather than just having it play before my eyes with me just along to kick a few sky troopers around.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
So many sky troopers.
So many sky troopers.
I think
Thank goodness they look awesome, but yes, there's
Yeah.
a ton of them.
One of the problems is it's an MMO, right? So you can't have the stories go in completely different directions, or to a certain degree. Like you can't destroy Zakul, for example. Say you get like a pre-Death Star and destroy Zakul. You can't do that if someone else doesn't do that and can go to Zakul. That's kind of weird. So
Yep.
it's a little bit of... But there's still stuff that they can do. They can make the story wildly different. Like a few chapters ago, say some companions leave. Well, in the for the people who didn't make them leave or have them leave, the conversations are basically the same. That companion who didn't leave doesn't have any lines. They're just kind of there as like a set piece. They're just there as like an object. They don't speak or change the story in any way, that's the most disappointing thing to me, that the story cutscenes, at least on Odessen, they don't have that difference between the light side, dark side. Even those are just very similar to me, and it's kind of sad. But otherwise, it's all right for me, at least. I mean, I like TV, so
Yeah,
it's all right.
but TV should be on TV. For example, Game of Thrones, Hold the Door. No spoilers.
No.
Spoilers.
Yeah. And with the companions, as soon as you know that a companion can die, and there are some of them which you can end up dead, such as Eric demonstrated at the end of his live stream. I didn't see that coming. I didn't know that was an option, so that was a bit of a shock. Poor kitty. But yeah, as soon as they kill one off, potentially, you know they're going to have no involvement in the story going forward, because in a whole lot of players' experience, they're not there anymore, and therefore they can't just sort of write them in as a player. They're just potentially background stuff.
Right.
So as far as how they could improve this, as I said, making it more like the old way they did it, where they actually had proper worlds, fleshed out worlds, where the story just takes you through it rather than just pulling you along. That would be that's what I would like to see. Now, I did see some interesting discussion on Reddit where there's a bit of they're claiming that it's not an MMO, not a traditional MMO, because traditional MMOs are like World of Warcraft, and that's not what SWTOR is now. But when SWTOR launched, it very much was. Their intention was to provide a very similar experience for MMO players, to have all the MMO bits, which were actually a little more prominent, as well as that fourth pillar, in their words, which is story. And that was an incredibly powerful combination. And it's one of the reasons we all love the game, because it was all of that. It was an MMO, all these worlds you could explore, your own personal starship, travel between them, all of that, and some fantastic story, many of them that you could actually participate in. So I just feel it's lost that. And now it's a single player kind of experience, but we're missing the whole MMO point. I mean, if I want to play a single player game, I'll play a single player game, such as Mass Effect or Dragon Age or whatever. And what happens in the future when these single player Star Wars games comes out that are currently in development? Yeah, anyway, you see where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
All is not lost. I have hope for the future. I hope they will learn from Star Wars The Opera, what they will learn from the Knights of the Fallen Empire experience, and tune things for the better. Sorry, that went far longer than I expected it to, so over to you, Chill.
All right. Hey, shout out to the chat room. Katanara is here. Bill646, Bo Daddy, Darth Brundlefly, Dead King 1, Dekion, DreadX, Dot Hack 617, Drea Karen is here. Farseer Fiona, Gahana, Galactic Elite, Jala, KB Young 12, Kavaste, Meg V3 Mix Up Pixels, who is Alex, Merlin, Norin 175, Palace Falson, Feels Good, Sachari, Swifter X, Sims Guy, Steve, Sith Kitty, Serta Revan, a lot of people in this chat room today. Spartan 1, Steve's Lady, Tekutli, Thunder Lily, Trig PT, Vasma Gaming, Vaudians, Wastegate, and Zamzam are all here. Wow. Hello, everyone. Goodness. Are some of those your friends, Christina?
Yes, my guildmates. OMG Pink. They are all
Awesome.
representing tonight. Baz,
Excellent.
Bam. Elros is trying. He's at the bar, apparently. Apparently the bar is more important than this. But he's trying. Him and his friend are at the bar trying to watch. I don't know. Where's Solek? Norin is there. Dot is there. Dot is my homegirl. There's
Awesome.
only 8 of us in the guild.
Oh, okay.
So.
Just enough for an operation.
Just enough for an operation.
Cool. All right. This week, I did a hell of a lot of SWTOR. I created and got my sniper up to Hoth and level 40 in 1 week. Did a big power leveling stream on Saturday that took him from Balmora through the end of Act 1. Got a really nice outfit for him, which I have a little picture of in the show notes. And also decks and a couple of outfits, so I can also potentially switch from this sort of Empire look to more subtle, field looks. So I have some ideas on that. Just doing extremely light RP on him because I am trying to level pretty quickly. I am using XP boosts and so on. But I do have a basic backstory for him, and I'm trying to make decisions based on that. And I'll go back to the more RP Juggernaut after this character's at max level. And especially this weekend, because there's going to be double XP, so that's exciting. And the reason I wanted to do this, as opposed to just sticking with the Juggernaut, is because I knew I liked this spec, which is the sturdy fighting and whatever the sniper calls it. I know I like that from my Gunslinger, and I just wanted to have an Empire tune so I could do everything on the Empire side with. So that is sort of the plan for him. And I think he actually looks really good with his outfit. And I'm pretty happy with that. And yeah, I also noticed sometimes it's fun when you hear with the voiceovers, you hear like people who do other better known characters elsewhere in SWTOR, but you can tell it's their voice. So I found in the Revenites on Drum & Koss, there is a lady there who is Lana's voice, but she's being this one other woman who's like one of the people who kind of gives you missions and you talk to her for a while. But it's definitely the gal who does Lana Beniko, which is cool. So yeah. So outside of the game,
atmospheric.
yes. When it's just a not a main character or even an important character, but just sort of a character who's there. That's atmospheric.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and you definitely hear that a lot. Because, there's so many of those little voices, those little atmospheric voices, that they'd have to repeat the actors at some point. Or at least it'd be a lot easier.
Gone to Dantooine. That's probably my favorite from the new chapters. As you pass those people, they're like, we think we can go to Dantooine. Dantooine? Never heard of it. And then the whole city is gone to hell, and you run by and they're like, should have gone to Dantooine.
I remember that one, yeah. Outside of the game, I bought and listened to the audible versions of the whole Bane trilogy, which is by SWTOR's own Drew Karpyshyn, which is awesome. And really good. It's not Mark Thompson. It's someone else who did the voice, but he did a good job too. And yeah, it was really nice to hear it. Darth Bane trilogy is probably still my favorite out of all the Star Wars EU/canon novels. I also did listen to Bloodline. In fact, I'm listening to it a second time. It sort of centers on Princess Leia, and it has some good moments. It's a little restrained by its setting because it's sort of like it's kind of in the lead up to Force Awakens, so it's a little restrained in what it can do because it can't do anything too crazy because we know what happens at the start of Force Awakens. We know wherever all the characters are and so on, but it kind of tells you how they get there, and there are some very interesting scenes and some good characters. So overall, pretty happy with that with Bloodline, but really happy, of course, with Bane. So
I loved
right.
Bloodline. I finished it 2 days ago.
Oh, good. Good.
I loved it. I thought it was good.
Yeah. And did you especially like the last half where you sort of see all the little pieces fall into place for The Force Awakens?
Yes, and I liked because sometimes in the expanded universe, I love the expanded universe books. I have probably about 35 of them. So those were really hard to give up when they were all thrown out or moved to Legend. But it was nice to see how they dealt with certain revelations, certain characters, and how that was not as accepted with open arms as it was in the original expanded universe. And it's always nice to see a book that's written about characters that, you know, we all already know and we already love, and that they're saying things and doing things, and you're not taken out of the story by thinking that's very out of character. Like, why would they do that? Because I like a lot of the expanded universe books, but some of them there's kind of that moment of, what would that character really do or say that? But Bloodline, it was very good at being true to the characters that we've seen in the movies.
That's cool.
And it must be 5 times harder to write characters that everybody knows, as opposed to characters from your head, you know, because everybody is such a fan, and you know, they love them so much. So much pressure.
Yeah, I'm sure, exactly. I'm sure they sweat over every word, just, you know, would Han really say that, and would he use those words, and, yeah.
Han Solo would never say that, and now you're dead to me.
That's right. Yeah, and January Lavoie does the audio version, and she does a good job. It seems like, I don't know if this is a hard and fast rule, but it seems like they bring in January Lavoie when the main character is female, because I've heard a couple of other January Lavoie audiobooks, and it was I can't remember the exact name, Birth of the Jedi or Dawn of the Jedi, set even before SWTOR, like way early Jedi, like when lightsabers are sort of like not even really existing yet. And but the main character is female, and so they have January Lavoie. So, and she does a good job. So it's actually funny. It's always funny to hear the voice actors when they do the imitations of the well-known actors, when they do the Han Solo or the Lando Calrissian and all that. So. And actually, January Lavoie does a pretty respectable Leia, and you can also tell her Han Solo is pretty solid, actually, all things considered, which is hard because, you know, she's in a different register, but you can tell she's having fun doing it. So, all right, well, gosh, that'll bring us to the tip of the week, and we actually just had one, which is good because we've spent a lot of time on our week this time. I'll go ahead and read it. It's from Sapphire. This tip is mainly for those playing Kopfi, so it's a slight spoiler for Chapter 12, Visions in the Dark. When you wake up, spoiler alert, when you wake up after your conversation with a key NPC, check out every item that is lit up. You'll soon get 2 more abilities on your ability bar, Tame Creature and Dismiss Tamed Creature. The creature has to be young and neutral. You click on a Tame Creature, and you get the creature as a DPS-type companion for most of the chapter. And the winner is, of course, Sapphire. Normally it would be random, but yeah, we just rolled an egg, and it came up 1. So if you'd like a chance, well, congratulations, Sapphire. You're the winner of a Tonfon or M83R Droid pet code, courtesy of Bioware, and a new OotiniCast provided Cartel Market Pack from the latest shipment. And if you'd like a chance to win the same, please send your tips to OotiniCast@gmail.com by next Tuesday. And that will bring us to the Holo feed. Tio?
Oh, we've got so little news this week. In fact, there have been no developer posts this week so far. Of course, it's only Wednesdays over in the US, so maybe they will come back from a holiday or wherever Eric, etc. is. But yes, nothing really to talk about beyond the fact that next week we have a game update 4.5 Mandalore's Revenge. Now, we don't actually know when the game update is dropping because there has not been an announcement yet when they're going to do the maintenance or actually deploy it. Now, they have talked about June 1st being when Chapter 14, Mandalore's Revenge, is going to be available, so maybe they'll do the update on Wednesday instead of Tuesday. Either way, they could potentially do the update on Tuesday and then the chapter goes live on Wednesday. That's early access. Early access. If you happen to be subscribed on, well, June 1st, you'll get access on June 1st. And if you subscribe on June the 2nd, you'll get access on June the 3rd. Anyway, yes. So there is a trailer. I believe they did play it at the end of the last live stream. It obviously features, well, let me read the whole promo since we've got plenty of time. Enlist the help of the infamous bounty hunter Shay Vizsla as you and your alliance move to seize control of the most powerful armada in the galaxy, the Eternal Fleet. Spoilers. Prepare to brave the harsh desert world of Darvanis and survive its brutal enemy forces in a desperate attempt to save the galaxy from the Eternal Empire forever. And earn the loyalties of Shay Vizsla and the unyielding Mandalorian warriors. So, heavy Mandalore focus. Charles Boyd is a big Mandalore fan. I believe he commented he loved writing this one. Darvanis, that's where they had scum and villainy. We never actually got to have a wander around there, except for what you see in the operation. So that'll be cool. Of course, whether you can go back there after the chapter is finished, who knows?
We'll see.
I guess not, which is rather unfortunate, but so be it. We've already been talking about the new non-HK themed reward, the Eternal Empire Patroller Speeder. It's kind of cool, just being subbed on by June 1st, on June 1st. And of course, when you sub on June 1st, you will also get early access to Chapter 15, which will be later in the month. So I believe they did say 28 June, 4 weeks later. Though I could have just imagined that. And yes, we don't know when Chapter 16 will be, but I'm thinking late July, obviously.
Makes sense.
Unless they just delay it because they just want to be annoying, but who knows. Now, Torian Cadera, the bounty hunter companion, did feature in the video, so it's very, very possible that we'll get Torian as a companion again, and probably get Shay as well. Why not? Add him to the army. And you will also have the opportunity to get Brunemark, that utterly forgettable creature, who is the Sith warrior companion from memory. Because you pick him up, he makes that really strange sound when he talks, and I'm pretty sure I never pulled him out again after I got him on my times through that
Sam,
story.
Can I say something real quick?
Please.
Okay, because when they hadn't had war zones for a long time, I sat around. It was right after Scum and Villainy had come out, and my husband is big into PvP, and he was like, you know what would be awesome? Like a hut ball set in Darvanis. And he actually constructed a map, like where the hut wall would be and all of the buffs, to have a whole hut ball arena in the Darvanis setting. And when we saw that the new chapter was going to be in Darvanis, he was like, oh man, maybe I should bust that out again.
That's cool.
That is a great idea. He should send it in.
Suggest the new PvP map, and maybe in 3 years they'll create it.
Which reminds me, someone on Reddit, I think Swotarista linked it, actually created a 3D model of a stronghold set on Manan. Actually built it in loving detail. It's amazing. I will dig it up and link it in the show notes. It's just fantastic. But players, such as your husband and whoever this was on Reddit, have done the most incredible stuff.
Yeah.
No reason they can't use it, though. There is some weird stuff with intellectual property they have to be careful of. But yeah, Manan Stronghold would be awesome as well.
Some people are so freaking talented.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
All right, so just a few other things to mention. This is the last chance for the Story So Far promotion, where you have to just complete Chapter 13 on any character to be entered. There's just one block of 5 days left. They've already had the rest of the month. by 30 May. But remember, you do have to enter on the site. Now, something I noticed on the winners page, where they actually show who won the various things. Well, firstly, they haven't actually announced who won the Eternal Championship, even though that's been finished for a few days. Probably still sorting through the data and getting rid of the cheaters. But yeah, there's only like 3 winners for this Story So Far promotion for a couple of those 5-day blocks. So it's like, in those 5 days, only 3 people completed Chapter 13 and also entered on the webpage. So that's a little concerning. Maybe that's not why that happened, but it's kind of weird. Anyway, now it's also the last chance. They're going to do the same thing. They'll pick another 5 winners for the Show and Tell Your Saga using the hashtag SWTOR Saga giveaway. Just post a screenshot or video on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube, again by 30 May, to get a chance to win. I think it's like 450 Cartor coins for each person. So yep, still a chance to win. So I believe Blacklock, among a few other people that we know, have actually won. So congratulations, guys. Very nice. And that will end the May the 4th promotion for May.
Right. One quick note on Shea Vizsla, and they've tweeted this out. They did it as a reminder that Shea Vizsla is in fact the bounty hunter who helps Malgus attack the Jedi Temple during the Battle of Coruscant. And so you can watch the Deceived trailer to see her, as well as, of course, experiencing her during the Rishi storyline. And then, or you could also, there's also the Star Wars The Old Republic Deceived novel, which is one of my favorites of the Star Wars The Old Republic novels as well. So, yeah, so just a reminder that this Shea Vizsla has been around for a long time, so she's been an important character sort of in and out of dancing on the edges of history here. So, good stuff.
Yeah, great. Oh, and as Dekion said in our chat, so next week's OotiniCast will be a live stream of the next chapter, because it will indeed be on June the 1st, on the Wednesday. So no, we're not going to do that. But it means I probably won't have had a chance to play through it unless I get up early in the morning before we record, which I might do. Now, I do want to talk about an article. This was on VentureBeat.com, where it was an interview with Charles Boyd, where the title was Players Want to Do More in Less Time, and this was Games Beat actually talking to Charles Boyd about SWTOR. It wasn't very long, but some questions they asked was, how is the MMO space different today than when TOR, Star Wars The Old Republic, first launched? And he said, great question, sure. We're seeing a couple of interesting trends in the industry. Players want to do more in less time, advance at their own pace, and plan ahead. Players today are leading busy lives, and they want to maximize the opportunity to have fun and get rewarded every time they play. And this was apparently a big factor in why they moved episodic in terms of the story in Knights of the Fallen Empire. It allows players to experience the story the way they want to, okay, which is presumably that means in small doses, spread out far apart so you can do everything else you want to do in your busy life. With maximum flexibility. Yeah, okay. I'm not quite
I
sure.
definitely agree with the last part. Yeah, I mean it is flexible because you have a whole month to do, to get in your time to do your chapter.
That's all there is. So, yes, and they want to know when there is the next chapter coming and appointments set for when, so you know exactly when it's going to turn up, more or less, and you can plan for it. Plan for that 40 minutes, 45 minutes of slotted in.
Pencil
in
it
your
into
busy
my
life.
diary.
Yes.
SWTOR story. 45 minutes.
Now I've got to say the one good
door.
thing, the one good thing about the episodic thing is that you do. It is like you are anticipating something different or something new every month, rather than having to wait for the usual content release cycle. So that's nice. Of course, it'd be nice to have a little more to sort of look forward to, but I suppose that's a good thing about it. But anyway, that's why apparently we're all very busy, and so we have less time to play, and so you want to get more done in less time. Of course, you could argue that kind of cheapens the experience, because you just blow through it and then it's done. And then you wonder why you're paying $15 a month for it. Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
I'm
sorry, I really should be more positive about this, but
Yeah, but it is what it is, and it's changed a lot.
Yeah.
Someone, Bill646, just said, last Friday, 27 instances of EV hard mode. No one seems to want more operations. And man, there's people out there and they still be struggling with EV hard mode. It's just, it's
27
20.
instances?
Well, yeah.
That
Yeah.
seems unlikely.
Has anyone else had this problem? Have you ever set an op to 16-man hard mode to get more gear, but like only go in with 7 or 8? And then some people wind up in one instance, but then 2 people wind up in another instance?
This is apparently a common problem. Yeah, I've been reading about that. Other people have had exactly that, and a lot of people are saying, yep, that's what you do. It's just broken, and there's no way around it. No way to fix it. Just kind of bug it up.
How long has it been broken? Like just a couple months, or?
No, I get the impression a fair while. Unclear when they broke it. I
Jeez.
guess no one noticed, so or very few
Huh.
people, so they don't bother to fix it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it can get really screwed up if you do what you described. Yeah,
No
not good.
lockouts.
Now, back to the article. GameSpeed have... Sorry, did you want to say something, Joe?
No.
Okay. GameSpeed then asked, how have fans reacted to this kind of episodic approach to an MMO? And apparently they've embraced the story wholeheartedly and look forward to the chapter releases. And they primarily see this excitement manifest through online discussions that's happening on their forums, fan sites, and other community channels like Reddit, which is true. So there is obviously a lot of enthusiasm about this. So don't get me wrong. It's what they have done is fine. And debating the decisions on alliance members, talking about the story. And then they ask, what's next for the Old Republic? Will future content remain story-driven? Now, this is a key question for us. And Charles Boyd responds, I think it is clear the players enjoy the story. And therefore, we are motivated to continue it. It's a big part of our DNA as BioWare. And as a studio of Star Wars fans, there is nothing we can think of that is more rewarding and fun. Oh dear. We know our players are also like to engage in battles, fight evil adversaries that want to rule the galaxy, and even engage in factional battles. And so there is a definite interest to create more of that type of content as well. Okay, so let's see. Engage in battles, fight evil adversaries. I guess that's PvE content, maybe operations. And even engage in factional battles. That'd be PvP. So, okay, so I guess he's talking about MMO bits there, sort of, very indirectly. But all of that notwithstanding, we are always looking at player feedback to guide our final direction. So that means I should be emailing people and making my opinion heard, as should everyone who are dissatisfied with the game. They're the ones that the hate police are chasing down. See last episode. And they finally asked him, has the resurgence in popularity of Star Wars with the new movies given the Old Republic a boost? That is, when The Force Awakens came out, etc. And Charles Boyd said, absolutely, the excitement around Star Wars has grown exponentially. And the interest in playing a story-driven game that puts you in the center of your Star Wars saga is huge. If you feel the same way, it is really nice to share that love of Star Wars story with fans. And they've got a lot more stories to tell. Good news. So there you go. No surprises there, and I should note that BioWare have been absolutely transparent about this. They have never really misled us in any way. They have said their focus is story, and clearly it is. They've not promised us any new content for a while back when. Of course, they did promise us operations more regularly, but that was before the whole story thing. So now we're doing the story, and it's clear that it's in their DNA, remember? So anyway. So yes, I will link to that story, not that there's that much detail there. Now, other Star Wars news, I did just want to mention one thing, skipping over a whole bunch of stuff. Where is it? The one about the billboard. That's right.
Oh.
Now, outside of Star Wars The Old Republic, there was a campaign by the Give Us Legends group. This is something, Christina, you would be interested in. Headed by some guy named Matt Wilkins. They sought out the funding through Indiegogo, which is sort of like a Kickstarter thing, to bring they want the EU, the extended universe, that was wiped out when they reset the story when the movies came out with the new story group. The whole EU was wiped out. They did this massive billboard. Dear Lucasfilm, please continue the original expanded universe, the epic story that existed from 1976 through to 2014. Thank you. GiveUsLegends.net. So anyway, they managed to raise nearly $5,000. That paid for most of the billboard, and they also used what was left over to buy some Star Wars Legends books, which is what the EU is now, for their local libraries, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so there is a group of people out there who are dedicated to resurrecting the EU. That would be the one where Chewbacca is dead, and well, anyway, so yeah, I did enjoy what I was read there.
It's not dead.
He's not.
I mean, Disney didn't come to my house and burn all my books, did they?
That's true. That's true. The EU still exists
What
as this
can you
parallel universe.
I think
They're owned by Disney, and Disney is a money machine, and they're going to do what they want. And you putting up a billboard, sadly, is not going to do anything.
That's true.
I think what they're asking for is they're not specifically asking for it to become canon again. I think they're just asking for more stories that are in that universe, in the EU and the Legends, that continue on that story, but they don't contradict anything that's happening in canon and all that. And I do know that Lucasfilm has certainly noticed the banner. I mean, I think it's the story director, Pablo Hidalgo. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he was retweeting some of the edits people have done of this. It was like, please continue the original Kenner action figures line, or please continue the C-3PO cereal line, and just some parodies that they've made. And he's retweeted some of those and noticed them. So Lucasfilm certainly has noticed them, but I still think they're not going to really take any action. I mean, they're fully committed to the canon, as is SWTOR with their new story. They're both very committed to it.
I think the best we can hope for is that they'll take some of those stories and weave them in to the story going forward.
As far as turning them into canon,
Yeah.
I mean, there's certainly certain ones, like the Bane trilogy, that are like far enough removed from the current, timeline that they could bring it back in and it wouldn't actually affect anything, really.
Yeah.
Or introduce Grand Admiral Thrawn as a character in the story. Just probably in a completely different setting and story, but bring back the character.
I would give what I wouldn't give for Mara Jade.
Mara Jade, yes.
Yeah, Mara Jade.
Very popular in the EU. Very popular.
Yeah. And if they did continue the original EU, in other words, set that up as sort of a second canon, or a second universe, if they actually did put new stories out in that universe, that would actually potentially reinvigorate the whole EU, because there's really, I mean, if you're interested in Star Wars story right now, there's not a whole lot of reason to go back and read the EU right now, because you want to, if you're trying to in fact catch up on what the actual canon is today. I mean, if you're doing that as a new fan now, you're probably going to be gravitating towards the canon, the new canon. So it's hard to justify going back and reading all the cool, even though there's a lot of cool stories, tons of them. But if they did that, there might be a whole reason to sort of go back and read all those Thrawn books and so on, where it doesn't really exist as much right now.
Agreed.
The Han Solo trilogy will be the hardest for me to let go. The hardest.
That's an awesome one too.
Those three are probably. AC Crispin, what a fantastic job.
Yep.
It's
yep.
just
from birth.
Hard.
Yeah,
I'm excited for Rogue One, because I feel like Rogue One sort of fills in with ancillary characters from the movies with new characters we've never met, but it makes sense. The premise of it makes sense. But then the Han Solo trilogy is, I don't know. I don't know if I can do that.
That would be another one that would be nice if they just said, hey, this is now officially part of the canon. That would be awesome.
Or if they just left it alone. I mean, every time someone sneezes, oh God, we better tell the origin story of why they sneezed at that moment. Or, no one will ever use their imagination. Which is funny. As an actor, people really analyze that. Like they look at TV and movies, and they're like, "Oh my God, do you see how she scratched her nose? That means this." But I am telling you, sometimes it means your nose itched, and you just really had to scratch your nose.
All right, let's move on to community news briefly. Thanks to our latest Utini patrons, Sunken and Sephiroth94. Thank you both, and thank you to everyone who helps us out by just pledging $1 or $2 every week or every time we do a show. I should note that our roleplay episode was indeed a freebie because I just didn't have the heart to make anyone pay for that. Yeah, anyway. So yes,
That's funny.
Patreon.com/OotiniCast if you want to help us out. And also, if you go to OotiniCast.com/Amazon, that will take you to the regular Amazon page. Anything you buy, we just get a kickback from that if you want to help out the show a little bit. And we may be funding a trip for Chill to an upcoming community cantina. So
That would be
money
cool.
will go
Yeah,
to
we
a
just
good cause.
Yep. We just need to know more information. I don't think we'll be able to do the London one, but hopefully, you know, when they start announcing other ones, presumably they will, but who knows. But assuming they do, then yeah, hopefully we can set that up. That would be a lot of fun.
Agreed.
One
Alright.
tricky bit is if they are, and I don't know if they are or not, but if they are planning on doing the New York Comic-Con, if it's centered around that again, New York Comic-Con has a new policy where you have to like be signed up like soon, just in the next couple 3 weeks. It's done
Wow.
by mid-June. You have to not only have bought the tickets, but you have to like do this whole sign-up thing where you tell them who you are and your interests and stuff like that. And yeah, so I mean, if the cantina is going to be that weekend, I'd like to know about it ASAP, but we'll see. So
I mean, they've had one for like the past, I don't even know how long. I've been to 3 at
Yeah.
least.
The problem
I
is
went
they
to
just
the very
haven't
first
been.
one. It was in the basement of a super small bar, and there couldn't have been but like 75 people there.
mhm.
And now it's huge. It's huge.
Mm.
Someone asked me if they have one, would I make a costume? Maybe. I'd have to do something crazy, like I'd try to do my gunslinger, who's a Twi'lek, so I could do the whole
Yep, the whole
go
liquid
big
thing.
or go home.
be cool.
You know what was funny about that cosplay is I was terrified because I worked hard on my costume,
Yeah.
but it wasn't like, you know, there's a lot of people out there who cosplay, and it's freaking amazing. And I had no idea what I was doing. I documented all my process on Instagram, and most of it was like, here's what not to do with this steamer I'm using to melt this warbler. You should not wear it yourself and make your sister shape it to your body while you're covered
Ooh.
in tea towels.
Oh,
But I didn't
God.
have a dress form. She didn't want to do it. She had the steamer, and she's like, "No, I'm
Wow.
gonna hurt you. Please don't make me do this." Like, shut up. Make it fit me. I only have 10 more days. So, and I had to ride the subway in it.
That would
put
be
that
interesting.
thing
That'd be
on-
interesting.
I put that thing on at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then sitting was out of the question from then
Wow.
on. And when I showed up, they had an Excel spreadsheet list of the people that had signed up, and I mean hundreds of people had signed up for it.
How
Oh,
many
for the
showed up?
costume contest?
Yeah, I saw that list, and I was like,
Wow.
I'm boned. But, and then, you know, I was waiting there, and only those people that appeared
Yeah.
on the stream showed
We're
up.
there. Yep.
That's,
And at that point, I was like walking through the crowd, you know, with just these 7 people, and I passed my husband and my sister, and I was like, text everybody because I think I got this. No, I was not force pushing people in the subway. Dot. I was standing there, like, and I wore most of it, but I didn't wear the shoes because the city. Ugh,
Yeah,
like,
walking and yeah.
the curb puddles are enormous, and there's just, I mean, there's things on the street. You know, we take our shoes off before we come in the house, and there's a good reason for that.
There's
So
a
I didn't
reason
wear
for
all
it,
of it,
yeah.
and then I had to get dressed up to go there, and but it was really fun. And oh my God, Chill, you know the hilarious story from the other day because I'm buddies with Neff from ORD.
Yeah.
Twitter. And he
Right.
posted a picture of himself at the Hard Rock Cafe. And I was
Yep.
like, oh, that's a nice picture. Where's that from? And he said, oh, the New York Cantina tour. And I looked at his picture and I was like, are you the guy who yelled at me, what was my DPS? And he was like, come to think of it, yes, I yeah,
Yes.
yes, I did. And I was like, you're an a-hole. Do you know that?
All right. So
But
now,
he's-
just putting on my producer hat, and we are running long.
Okay.
So, all right. That was fine. Just finishing the community news. Our Share the Rage competition continues. Now, last week's Utini Rage, that was by our long-time friend Joseph Brown. And this week's, which you'll hear at the end of the show, is by Jeraine, who's also known as This Man, This Monster, and his son. So thank you for that entry. I will actually, hopefully, sometime put up a post that actually has the details for the competition, as in when we'll cut it off, which will probably be in about 3 weeks, and the prizes, and which will be cartel coin codes, etc. And yeah, we'll announce the winners in probably a month or so. So remember, all you have to do is record an Utini Rage. That's all you have to do, and send it to us as a WAV or MP3 or whatever file. Just email it to OotiniCast@gmail.com. As simple as that. And one more thing. I just happened to notice some Orabesh in a screenshot that Swotor posted, and just reminded me that I should remind everyone that if you want to learn Orabesh, that is the Star Wars writing system, which is just English but using different characters, so it's actually really easy to learn. Use our OotiniCast.com/Orabesh-trainer, which I'll link in our show notes, so it's on the OotiniCast.com page somewhere. And you can have some fun times just learning Orabesh. It's a very simple system I set up just to teach yourself. It's like you get an Orabesh word, you just got to translate it. The translation key is below, and you will eventually be able to just read it. So
Yes, and there's also a
give it a go.
whole key, so if you're just trying to get one word off of a screenshot or something, then you can also just use it as a guide straight up that way as well. Yeah, and it's easy to find from the main page too. If you don't know the exact link, then just do OotiniCast.com. You'll find it pretty much right away.
Right. And as Shari did point out, it's not English, it's Galactic Basic, but you get the idea.
Has a
And
whole
as
lot of
third-
similarities to English.
incredible number, in fact. And all of the words that are actually used as examples for you to type are from the scripts of the movies, the original Star Wars movies, New Hope, Empire, and Return of the Jedi. So just to make it that much more fun. And when the word comes up and you translate it, it will probably remind you of just where you heard it in those movies, if you've seen them as many times as most of us have.
Right.
Anyway, that's the news.
All right, that'll bring us to the Academy, and this week, Swotorista will tell us everything we need to know about acquiring, expanding, and decorating our galactic strongholds.
Insert a clip that's roughly 7.5 minutes long, which I'm not going to play now.
Okay. Thank you, Swotorista. That will bring us to the Force Feedback, where we read out your tweets and emails. And we'll start with Billy, who wrote, excluded from the episode was Train Engineer Joe circling Swotorista's house.
Now, that is referring to poor old Swotorista, where she's living at the moment. She does have a train that goes by on a regular basis, and so when a train, and there seemed to be a whole lot of trains last week for some bizarre reason, so every time a train came by, she had to stop talking, and it was all edited out, of course, but poor Swotorista.
She would have a hard time doing VO work from her house.
Indeed.
You know, that's a concern because we might have to move, and
Something
it's
to
a
be aware
concern
of.
because it has to be quiet, and trains
Right.
do go by. Sometimes I have to stop. You know, there's helicopters, ambulance. There's one day I sometimes I
Lawnmowers.
keep my outtakes. Yeah, someone was weed whacking the other day for like an hour. I'm at the window like. Your lawn is the size of a postage stamp. What are you weed whacking every day for an hour? Just plant rocks. Ugh.
All right. Anag wrote, I'm back after a long time away and following you again. Glad to see the podcast is still going.
Thank you, mate, and yes, it is.
Yeah. Born to Eat Bacon wrote, NCIS Season 9, Episode 21 mentions the Old Republic. Of course, it does so as a geek game, but still. We might have to check that out. It's been mentioned in a couple of other places too, but not too often, but once in a while, so that's nice. Descartes wrote, maybe a third of Americans I know don't drink coffee. A U.S. average is still among the highest in the world because the rest of us have no limits.
Yeah, so this was my misconception that all Americans drank coffee. I am clearly wrong. So thank you for correcting everyone.
Yeah, it's probably, I think Descartes is about right. Probably a solid majority, but without being, overwhelming. Descartes continues, I bet the transfer sale date is due to the U.S. holiday, the 4-day weekend with double XP, so the cheap transfers start the day prior.
Oh, yes, that is starting on Thursday, so as in tomorrow. So yes, by the time you hear this, the Cartel Coins cost of character transfers within your region, the EU or the US, will only be 90 Cartel Coins, temporarily reduced from 1,000.
Nice.
So, and you'll have a week or so, well, actually about 10 days before they revert to the regular prices, probably forever. And inter-region between the US and EU, now that you can do it, it is still going to cost you 1,500 Cartel Coins. But at least for everything else, 90 Cartel Coins.
Yeah, and I did see a tweet regarding the double XP that is confirming that it will go through Monday. So it'll be through the holiday day as well. So that'll be good. I'm planning on taking advantage. Get that sniper up there. Cypher Mandy wrote, bravo to OotiniCast and all involved with the hate police segment. It needed to be addressed and said, thank you, thank you, thank you. Everything y'all touched on has been a huge problem for me lately, so much so I haven't wanted to log into the game or get on Twitter, which is sad.
Yeah,
sorry to hear about that. And, but thank you. Andrew wrote, I really appreciate the awareness, especially since I've had to deal with a similar situation for a very long time.
No worries, mate.
Yeah, apparently this issue is a little overdue for us to touch on.
Yeah.
Overbite writes, while I agree that hate police is silly, so also is bashing your head about a game that no longer caters to you. I miss them, but I think that old Republic Radio boys were right to walk away if the devs weren't focused on raids at the moment. Better to do that than to get more and more angry. A game is for fun and should not be played if it isn't. Maybe SWTOR will one day cater for these guys again, and they can return without the angst that drove them away. The issue with this problem is the silliness on both sides of the argument.
Well, indeed. And as our message was, no one should be bashing anyone for their own opinions. It's okay to be critical of the game. You don't have to attack them. Their opinion does not affect your own enjoyment.
Right. Galactic Elite wrote, it would have been better if there was more context about the hate police throughout the entire history of SWTOR, instead of just the period of time which conveniently fits into the critical positions that people take. There is a longer history of it than the segment talked about. Story people used to be the target. It's about making sure there's context. The victims were bullies then. History repeats. My goal is for the SWTOR community to be constructive, not driven by revenge. When Class Story was phased out, people flipped out and were hate police just like people who don't like coffee.
This is something I was completely unaware of, that this actually happened, because I don't recall this at all. That when the story was, they didn't do the original Class Stories anymore, apparently the people who were calling for that were hate policed. So obviously we don't condone any of that. So
right.
And what we may do is get Mr. Galactic Elite on a future show to just talk about his perspective, which is a little different. He is one of those who very much enjoys the way SWTOR has gone with Knights of the Fallen Empire and would very much want it to continue. And he went on to say in our chat, my intent was to show that there's been a lot more to hate police than just the current situation, and that the more we work together to propose cost-effective stuff to BioWare, the better of a game we can help them build. They need good feedback from us, and infighting is just a waste of everyone's time. That pretty much sums it up in a way that we can all agree with. We want the game to continue. BioWare has to do it cost-effectively, which is great, but it should be some elements of it that cater to us all. And without letting them know, there's no way to actually communicate that to them. So I will also link to the article or the post that Galactic Elite made on Reddit, which is quite long and talked about this more.
Great.
You can corner them at Cantina events.
If we actually have another one, because they are quite rare this year, which is something I forgot to mention earlier. But we've talked about that before.
Right. Dave wrote in, I was wondering about Datacron unlocks and character transfers. I play a Sith sorcerer and absolutely adore the character. I created a Republic character on the same server for the sole reason of unlocking the Republic side Datacrons, which I have done. When BioWare reintroduces the cheap character transfers, I was planning on moving the Republic character to another server. Would I lose the Republic side Datacron unlocks on my Sith sorcerer? Thank you in advance. And I know the answer, and I'm sure you do too, Tio. Once you unlock it, it's unlocked. So, not only that, but you'll have the Empire side ones when on the new server when you move the Republic character over. So yeah, you have the best. You'll have the most unlocked of both worlds essentially. You'll stay unlocked on your current server, and when you move it over, you'll have all the unlocks on your current server on the new server.
It's a great way it works. For example, if you want to unlock the Sith Warrior buff, say, by leveling a Jug, you take him all the way to level 50, you get the buff unlocked. You can then delete him, but you still retain the buff. So,
that's true too.
As long as it's unlocked in your legacy, but it's exactly as you said, Shell. Once it's unlocked forever on your legacy. And when you transfer, it's all just the superset of all of the unlocks on wherever you transfer to. Mm-hmm. One's already there, and the ones you bring with you. So it's fantastic the way it works.
And Alex, a different Alex though, not our guest Alex, wrote, just wanted to share my thoughts on the Star Wars game that Respawn is developing. Action-adventure makes me think more of Force Unleashed than Diablo. Diablo is more of a top-down adventure RPG. Just my theory, but I'm guessing it will be a story-based game with photorealistic graphics similar to Tomb Raider, Uncharted, or another story-focused game.
Yeah, I did look into this further in terms of what they refer to as an action adventure. Yeah, and he's right. It's not Diablo, but yeah, that style of game. There are rumours that it may be the resurrected 1313, the game that was being developed by LucasArts before they sort of got shut down.
Right.
So who knows? Who knows?
Gosh, there was crazy buzz around 1313.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this game.
Whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah, I love the look of 1313, and I've heard rumors that this will either be like sort of 1313, but also I've heard rumors that it's going to be like a little bit Han Solo-y, like it might be about Han Solo around the time of the actual Han Solo movie coming out in the year after next.
20-something rather, yes.
Yeah, I can't be bothered to try and figure out what year
Let's call it
that is.
2018.
Yes, I think that's right. Yeah, it just sounds exciting to me. I love action-adventure games, so it'll be quite nice.
In fact, May 25th, 2018. Just saying.
Yeah.
And Dekion wrote in, I found this over the weekend on Reddit, posted it on our website, but I think it should be shared with everyone. I know I've had a question about what set pieces I should go for my tunes since 4.0 dropped, and there's a nice little table.
Infographic, yes.
Yeah.
Gear breakdown by class and roles. For example, for the Guardian/Juggernaut, for tank and damage, you have for tank, you have War Leader is a gear set name, and the non-gear set name is Bulwark. And then for the DPS, Guardian or Juggernaut, it's the Vindicator is a gear set with the set bonuses, and Pummeler is the non-set bonus version. So it just lays it all out. So it's usually pretty obvious based on the vendor and the stats, tank versus non-tank, etc. But it doesn't hurt to have the table. And of course, that reminded us of our PvE and PvP set bonus guide, which has been updated for Game Update 4.0. If you search for SWTOR set bonus, it's still top in Google.
Yep.
And yes, that actually lays out exactly what the set bonuses are for the gear sets with set bonuses, the 2, 4, and 6 piece bonuses.
Yeah, excellent. Let's see. Bill wrote in, notice anything different around here? I put the bill in billionaire. And wow, that's a lot of credits.
Yes, if you look closely, I'll include his screenshot. You can indeed see that his character has over 1 billion credits.
Ooh.
Bloody hell.
So he's still doing that, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wow. Imagine Imagine all the VIP wristbands you could buy with that.
Yeah. Wristbands everywhere.
Roughly 1 million. No, roughly 1,000. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Gary wrote to Bill, amazing, you should get a plaque or something for this. Was there an achievement? Bill wrote, nope, last one was at 10 million. That's my average earnings per day. Wow.
Wow. Yes. The wealthy. Yeah.
Gary wrote, I got the 10 million achievement as well. Too bad, there should be a special place for you 0.1%er.
Well, 0.01% in Bill's case. 0.001
Yeah.
maybe.
He's pretty up there. Flesh Ribbon also wrote in, Jesus, congratulations. If I saved more than I spent on alts and the GTN, I might someday break 10 million. Yeah, that's sort of how it was for me. I did break 10 million. I think it was at the beginning of Kotfi, and even then I sort of had to move a few million around. And yes, that's because of mostly alts in my case. Every time I have a new alt, I always send them, $1 million or two, and because I'm not a hardcore GTNer, yeah. Galen wrote, Grats Bill, I see you're subbed back to the game. Maybe it's time to do another OotiniCast show. That'd be nice.
Yeah, it would.
Pez wrote, congratulations, that is absurd, Bill. I'm going to need to see tax forms on all offshore accounts. Yes, we've got a definite Panama file situation going on here. Turg wrote, let's see, why are raid passes required for raids that have been out for so long? Shouldn't they become free for after a year or more, like old X-Packs?
That is an interesting point.
thought.
Yeah. Especially since the focus is on stories, and why not make raids free? Since why not?
Since it's not their focus, yeah. And they're not new. Gary wrote, well, it forces you to sub. Suppose. Bill says 1, 2, or 4.5 years old, doesn't matter. It's all the newest and most relevant raid content. It's true. I mean, they did upgrade it to the newest level.
True.
But then Turg wrote, nah, everyone except me already subs because story. I fundamentally oppose subsidizing story. If they think there aren't enough raiders to justify new raids, they should back that stance by setting raids free.
Yeah. Nice idea. They're not going to do it, but...
Right.
Yeah. Was that a downer? Do we want to end on a downer? Do you want to someone say something really positive?
So, Christina, what's like the most you've ever had? Because you said you were doing well. You said you sold a lot of crystals on the GTN until they broke it for you. So, like, what was
How rich were you?
How rich were you at your max? Or do you spend it?
I do spend some because I've been collecting decorations. I decorated the heck out of our guild ship because it's so easy when you have them. You're donate to guild. It's so much easier to decorate the guild ship than your own place. I don't know, a couple 100 million.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Actually, that's
and I
pretty
did. Here's a good story. Since I looked for this since launch, the Kratom-matic. I bought one off the GTN for
awesome.
150K.
Oh
wow!
Was that
someone
a mistake?
didn't know what it was worth?
Nope.
Yeah, that's worth that's worth 1,000 times that roughly.
I was like,
that's amazing.
Hey guys, who wants this achievement for those exist?
Yep.
They were like, no, shut up.
Yep,
Someone
I don't
out
have
there
the.
is sad, but they don't.
I don't have that, but
They
I
don't
do
even
have the
know they're
achievement.
sad.
Yes, I don't have that item, but I do have the achievement because I borrowed it from
nice.
a friend.
Yeah,
That'd be
yeah.
cool. And the Kratom-matic, if you didn't watch Eric Musco's screen or haven't heard of it before, will turn you into random crates. And it's just, it's one of the cool.
It's just awesome.
It is the rarest item in the game. Very,
Yes.
very, very low drop.
And it's a drop, and it can also come out of certain com boxes as well. But basically, it's mostly a drop, and it apparently can come from almost anything in the game.
Right.
But it's just
So just kill
they said it's
everything,
so
and
rare
it might,
that it just
it might turn
yeah. They said it's so rare that it just doesn't happen
Yeah.
Until it does.
until it does.
Until
Those
it
Black
does,
Swan
and then
events.
that person doesn't even know what they have.
And then sells
And
it
they
for
sell it.
150,000 on the GTN. And
Yeah, or to the vendor.
Jeez.
I don't see this on the GTN. I don't
Imagine
know.
vendoring
Is
it.
150K a lot of credits? I'll just put it up for that.
It is to me.
Oh my god. Oh.
all right, shall we wrap up?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I've got to edit this.
All right, then. That's a show. If you'd like to play with us in the Utini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the Harbinger server, or in our Guild on the Empire side, do a /C join Utini to join the Utini channel. Then let us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions and comments about the show to OotiniCast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter using @OotiniCast. You can find contact details for all of us on our website, OotiniCast.com, which includes how to subscribe to us using iTunes, Stitcher, and the rest. We record the show live every Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Pacific. Go to OotiniCast.com/live to find out how to join in. Our theme song is Doomsday by Jean-Paul Zogby. And thank you to the chat room, and thank you to Christina and Alex.
Thank you very much.
And we'll see you next week.
All right, guys, keep recording, please. And everyone, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us. Sorry there isn't much news. Not that that's anything we could do about that. But, yeah, well, hopefully with the release of the chapter we'll have a little bit to talk about next week and maybe some news about what else is happening once BioWare starts posting on the forums again. So thank you again, and we will talk to you next week.
Yeah.
May the Force be with you.